it's the holidays and we're feeling stressed, and sometimes we don't know where the day is gone, and there's all these things we have to do, and this like weight is on our shoulders. And it's that time of year, it's the holidays, and that's a really good conversation I feel that Erin and myself are going to have. And for those of you that are new, hello and welcome to Mindful Conversations. I'm your host, Tanya Otterstein-Liehs, and we're shifting our mindset and digging deep into this conversation. Hello, Erin. Thank you for being here and sharing in this vital conversation.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited
Yeah.
to chat
And
about all this.
yeah, I mean, it's so important, right? Because we can go throughout the day. It's like, oh my God, I feel like
Exactly.
like this, right? And when you're
Yeah.
not in tuned to that internal voice, you wonder why you're losing your patience and you're getting angry and
Absolutely.
even upset and sick and all that stuff that can happen.
Yes.
And before we dive deeper into this, Erin, can you tell, our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Erin McCarthy. I am a very recently retired philosophy professor as of the end of August. And while I've been doing this other work on the side for a while, my full gig now is as a mindfulness coach, a writing and professional coach for faculty and graduate students, and as a philosophical counselor. So I'm also a mom of tween girls who will be 13 in January. And I have a dog and a spouse as well. So that's the short version.
Yeah, yeah. And I loved how you touched on the point, where you came from, where your journey was to where it's
Mhm.
going now, because I find that professors, I'm going to say, or people in a career that's excelling, or in corporate world, that we have all these things that we need to do by year end,
Mhm.
as well as the as we mentioned at the beginning, the holidays and the stress of
Yeah.
what can come forth of that. Even, do you find too that in your world the people are worried about, I gotta get all this, I gotta get all this, I gotta get all this
Yes.
done, and so is coming over and I gotta do this, I gotta do this. So what's, a message that you overall share when you're hearing that from so many people around the world,
Yeah. Yeah.
to help that internal stress to kind of take that breath?
That's a great. I love this question. So, one of the things I encourage people to do all the time, but particularly at this busy time of year, is to figure out ways to fit in little moments of mindfulness throughout your day. So, these are called micro hits of mindfulness. And, often when we think about mindfulness or meditation, or stress relief, we think about things that like take a lot of time, right? So, formal meditation practice, sitting and practicing, doing a meditation for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, or, self-care. I'll have a bath, go get a massage, and many of us simply do not have the time for that right now, right? And actually, can get kind of annoyed when people are like, oh, just take some time and have a bath. You're like, listen to me, I got a list here, I can't
Yeah,
get that in.
yeah.
So my favorite piece of advice is to find small moments in the day so that you are filling your cup throughout the day, so that you're not quite so exhausted by the end of the day, and B, it actually, if we're talking about mindfulness practices in particular, it actually encourages you to make the time,
Mhm.
to find the time for the longer practices. And, if you want, I can give a couple of examples of what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, do Deb, because
Okay.
as you're talking, I mean, I totally agree with you that it doesn't have to be this way, and you don't have to make it this long. And I'm going to give example too, and please share yours as well. That can be a simple thing. If I'm somewhere and it's like, well, wait, all of a sudden I'm feeling my heart is starting to race. I can be anywhere and I just take these deep breaths
Yep.
and focus on that, and nobody around me knows what I'm doing,
Exactly.
right? And
Exactly.
right, it's recognizing how
Yeah.
you're feeling and allowing yourself to do what you need to do at that moment. So,
Right.
what's another example that you have, Erin?
So one of my favorites is, because we do a lot of waiting this time of year, right? Like
Mm,
waiting in line,
hmm.
standing and waiting
Yeah,
somewhere happens
yeah,
to all of us every day,
yeah.
is tuning into the feeling of the soles of your feet on the floor or
Mm,
against your socks.
nice.
And even like just gently rocking
Yeah,
back and forth. And
yeah,
what this does is it takes your attention away from whatever thoughts are
yeah.
spinning in your head, whatever story you're telling yourself, right? I don't have enough time. I'm never going to get this done. I'm going to be late, right?
Yeah.
And it takes the attention away from those thoughts in your head and brings it into your body. And the
Hmm.
thing is, right, our thoughts move so quickly that it's hard to grab them and be like, hey, slow down. Whereas physical sensations are a little slower. And
Yeah,
so it's a really great way to begin to soothe the nervous system, but you're literally grounding, right?
yeah,
I mean, I know there's a whole, school of thought. There's a whole practice around like grounding and
yeah,
outside and inside. It doesn't have to be that complicated.
yeah.
You can literally just sense into the feeling of your feet on the floor, sense into that stability beneath you. You can even imagine that your feet have tree roots, right? And
Hmm.
and that they go down
Yeah,
and trees sway.
yeah,
Trees, get blown around
yeah,
by big winds. And most of the time, they don't fall down. They
yeah,
move with the wind and they go back to that stability.
yeah,
So, and if you're not standing, you can still do it seated at your desk. You can, if you notice, a coworker in a meeting is starting to stress you out and you feel your shoulders go up, first relax the
yeah,
shoulders, then sense into your feet on the floor. And you can, sort of scooch yourself up on your chair a little bit and then press one foot and the other in,
yeah,
or even sensing into the stability of the chair
yeah,
beneath you.
yeah.
And it's a grounding practice, but it's a really good way to just kind of go, oh, okay. Because sometimes we can't always take 3 deep breaths, right? Someone's going to notice that if you're in the middle of an interaction. So I like this one
Hmm.
because it's one of those, one of these kind of stealth mindfulness practices,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
stealth stress relief. Yeah.
Exactly. It's so true because it's this physical movement
Yeah.
also has your mind shift from the point
That's
of where
right.
you are at that moment. And I love
Exactly.
that shifting because I've done before. I've just kind of shifted to the other
Yeah.
side, right? Or even, like you say, standing in line, I've gone onto
Mhm.
my toes and then
Yeah.
down again.
Yeah.
Right. And it's that simple physical moment. It's your
That's it.
body's also into tune to what you're doing and it shifted from how you were feeling. And it's like you can even say to yourself, wait, I need to do it one more time. Okay, shift the other way
Yeah.
or move, slide your foot and
Yeah.
then slide your other foot. So I love those key examples because you're right. You can do it anywhere. No one's going to look at you wondering
Right.
what
Exactly.
you're doing, right?
And it brings you back into the present moment
Yeah,
because when we get stressed, we're either popped back into the
yeah,
past where something's gone wrong before when this happened and da 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 da,
yeah,
or we get shot into the present where we're like, oh my God, if this happens and then da 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 da.
yeah.
And so coming back to the body
Hmm.
is a really good way of reconnecting your mind with your body and bringing you back into the here and now.
Yeah, yeah. And what are your thoughts, perspective on? Because something that I do that works really well, and I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on that as well, is, if I'm like, okay, I need to just ease my mind, I'll look out a window. If I can't step
Yeah.
outside, I'll look out a window,
Mhm.
or I'll just take an example. We're waiting in line, and right now with the decor, Christmas decor, I'll just shift my eyes and look at something, and it's like, just look at it and see the patterns in it, see how beautiful it is, and then shift back to, okay, I'm waiting line, and then shift your eyes again. And instead of, looking at this long line and all no one's moving in line and the cashiers and look at that person, they changed their mind. So what are your thoughts on that? Just even shifting simply
Absolutely.
your eyes and focusing and just what is unique about that star?
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I love this example. So anytime we can tune into our senses, our
Hmm.
5 senses, that's going to help soothe our anxiety. So
Yeah.
whether it's, zooming in on the star, I love that, or seeing if you can find your favorite color, right? Start
Mm.
looking around for your favorite color in
Yeah.
wherever you are, and wherever you notice it, zoom in on it,
Yeah.
stay with it for just a
Yeah.
few seconds, then let your attention wander again. Again, that's taking you away from, and because you're making a choice to
Yeah.
do it, it's not, people will say, oh, that's just distracting myself. I'm like, well, yes and no, because you're doing it deliberately.
Hmm.
And that's what makes it a stress relief practice or a mindfulness practice, and not a sort of repression practice, right? So you're
Yeah.
not ignoring, you're not pushing away what's happening, because we know when we push away those unpleasant emotions, sensations, thoughts, when we push them away, they often get louder, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if we acknowledge them and, say, okay, I'm feeling really stressed, like you said there, and I'm going to choose to place my attention elsewhere
Yeah.
into, and it can be seeing or hearing or feeling, or the five senses. What else is there? Touch, taste. I always forget one. That's a great way to soothe your nervous system, to take your attention away from those thoughts that are spinning, or away from the unpleasant sensation of your shoulders tightening or your heart racing or your palms sweating, right? So it's a deliberate turning of your attention rather than a pushing away, because mindfulness is holding things in that balanced state of awareness. And it's also an act of being kind to ourselves in that moment, instead of saying, why are you so, because sometimes we do that, we're like, it's okay, it's gonna be fine, why are you so stressed, you can do this, right? That's not the best coach you
Yeah.
want in your head, right?
No, no, exactly. You're thinking you're a superhuman, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And we've all done that,
Oh
and
my
guess what,
gosh. Yeah.
we're not.
Yeah, it's so true, right? I loved, Erin, how you mentioned at the beginning, because it's something I talk about all the time, is not ignoring that negative voice, or not ignoring how you're truly feeling, because when you ignore it, it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger, and it ends up affecting other parts of us, or
100%.
even other people that we love, because we
Yeah,
we have this anger or this negativity or the stress that bounces onto other people,
exactly.
and they absorb it and they feel it, and you explode maybe
Yep,
without even realizing. And
that's right.
then there goes the whole circle again. And then you feel guilty for, exploding at them. You feel guilty for being angry with them. And it's a never ending
Exactly.
circle, right? So I
Yeah.
loved all the points that, you mentioned about, acknowledge how you're feeling, use your five senses to, shift how you're
Hmm.
feeling, be in the moment,
Yep.
keep it simple,
Yeah.
keep it uncomplicated, try something new maybe you haven't done before.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people say, I'm waking up really tired and really
Mm.
angry because I've had an awful week, or, what happened yesterday really bothered me, and that's how I went to bed. So what's something tying into mindfulness or self-care that you do yourself, Erin, that lets you begin your morning with, I'll say,
Mm.
a more relaxed state, especially, as we mentioned beginning, it's so stressful right now for
Yeah.
so many people.
Yeah. Yeah. Great question. So one of the things I do, one of two things, I try to do one of two things when I wake up in the morning. Either a body scan, a quick body
Mm,
scan, just like check in. Okay, how
yeah,
am I? Like before I get out of bed, what's
yeah,
going on? Am I stiff? Do I have a headache? Do I have,
yeah.
because one of the things I live with is post-concussion syndrome.
Mm,
It's my third year post-concussion. And if I'm too busy, my symptoms come back, right? And so it's really important for me to be like, okay, yeah, I've got a headache today. That means I'm gonna have to drink more water.
yeah,
So sort of that kind of a body check-in. Or another check-in is sort of taking those same senses, and we could think about our senses in three broad categories, right? See, hear, and feel. And so if I think about those in an inner state, like, okay, what am I looking, I sort of do this like inner check-in. What am
yeah,
I seeing
yeah.
because if I wake up and I'm like, oh, it's going to be a terrible day, if that's the thought in my head, I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you set yourself already up, right, for it to be a terrible
Exactly.
day.
Yeah. And that's good information to have, because then that gives me the power to turn it around, to be like, okay, I'm feeling pretty negative today. I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. And what am I feeling emotionally? Oh, I'm feeling calm, or I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling angry. And then what do I hear? What story am I telling myself? Right. So our thoughts either appear as we see them or we hear them, and it doesn't really matter. So that sort of inner check-in gives me information to be like, okay, I need a slow start to my day. Or if I'm feeling kind of, like anxious and angry, I'm like, I need to go for a really brisk walk with the dog this morning, or I need
Yeah,
to hop on the bike,
Yeah.
or, or do a little workout, or, throw some yoga on, do 5 minutes of, who is she? Yoga with Adrienne. She has a yoga for everything, it's all free there on YouTube. Like, I could do that. So those kinds of check-ins are really important. And I try really hard not to start my day by looking at my phone.
Hmm.
Makes a big
Yeah.
difference to my nervous
Yeah.
system. So if
Yeah.
I can, and even that morning informal meditation, informal mindfulness practice, like 3 minutes, it starts my day more
Yeah.
calmly, and it gives
Yeah.
me information. And from information comes insight, right? So then I can know how better to move through my day for what it is that I need.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
another thing I do is a self-compassion practice where I offer myself, I sort of say a little a vow or set an intention of saying, okay, may I, so if I realize I'm like super tense and anxious, I might say to myself, may I be patient.
Ah,
So that intention setting
yeah.
is really can make a big difference too. And from that little brief mindfulness
Yeah.
practice of checking in with my inner emotional and landscape, I can know what I need. So may I be patient,
Yeah.
or may I have some energy today, or whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
May I take the time to care for my body, It
Yeah.
can be whatever it is. And the beautiful thing about setting those intentions is that we can't fail.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can never fail with an intention.
No.
If you just set it again,
Yeah.
you know?
It's so true, right? When you said, may I be patient? Well, patient all of a sudden sticks in your mind, right? Rather than saying, I don't know if I can. Well, I
Right,
don't know, or I
right,
can't. Well,
right.
now
Or
that's
I'm
what you're remembering.
impatient, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So that's already you've set up, but it's like patient, or, you know, or it's so important how you shift the way you use your words and the way you set
mm-hmm.
up. And, it's so important what you said, that you don't look at your phone, first thing when you wake up, because there's so many people that have their phone beside them, and they're lying in bed already and they're checking phone, or they get up and the first thing they do is grab their phone. It's like, okay, like, think about how are you setting up your
Yeah,
day already? You're already setting your day up with focus on somebody else and something
right.
else, rather than what you need,
Yeah,
rather than setting up your intentions for a more uplifted and
yeah,
spirited day. And
yeah.
it's something I've been practicing, I don't know how long, forever. I'll say I've never looked at my phone. Like, my phone stays in the kitchen. I get up, I wake up, stretch before I get up, open up the windows, whether, the blinds, whether it's dark or not, get down, put on the kettle, have a lemon water, write in the gratitude journal, then the tea, and
Beautiful.
then,
Yeah,
if I need to look at the phone. So, someone might be thinking, oh, but what if I miss the latest message? It doesn't matter.
right.
It doesn't matter. What is 10 more or 15 more minutes or 20 minutes
Exactly.
later? It's not
Exactly.
going to matter.
That's
What's going to
right.
matter is how you're beginning your day. Are you setting yourself up to make yourself a priority? Or
Hmm.
are you setting yourself up to make everybody and everything else a
I
priority?
love that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's I really find it's these daily routines that we need
Hmm.
to become more aware of, because we're
Hmm.
so set into doing everything like this,
Yep.
you forget. Or I'll say, you don't even, it's hard to realize it,
Yeah.
how you're choosing to begin your day.
Right. Because it doesn't seem like a choice. It's like, well, I wake up, I pick my phone up, right?
Hmm.
Like and that's not a choice.
Yeah.
Right, in some
Yeah.
ways it's
Yeah.
just too easy. And of course, our phones are designed to make us think we don't have a choice. It's like, well, of
Yeah.
course that's what I do, right? I
Yeah.
mean, they're built on the same logic that got us slot machines, right?
Yeah.
That's what they used. So
Right,
it's
right.
not good.
Yeah, yeah. Or, people have notifications on for everything.
Yeah,
Well, turn them
turn those
off.
off.
Like,
That's, yeah,
why do you have, like,
yeah.
why do you have all these social media,
Oh,
like, notifications on? So you guys,
yes.
like, no, leave it.
Yeah,
Like, look at it when you're making that, however
that's
many
right.
minutes, and
Yeah, and set a timer,
yeah,
like that's really helpful to set a timer when you're looking at your phone. It's,
exactly.
and be like, oh, okay. And I'm not saying don't look at it,
Yeah,
but like you see if you can integrate, like some mindfulness, some
yeah,
movement, some gratitude
yeah,
before you do that. And then especially if there's some major event in your personal life or in the world, your body is better equipped to be able to respond to
Yeah.
it instead of simply reacting to it, which is what's going to
Yes.
happen if you pull it
Yes.
first thing in the morning.
Yeah, so true, right? So true. I
Yeah.
think a lot of that goes with too, if you're in the middle of doing something that's bringing you joy and you hear a message come on your phone, ignore it. You can
Yeah,
finish doing what you're doing,
that's
and
right.
I see so many people. I look around, I'm a very people watcher, and they're doing something. All of a sudden you hear their phone go up and they grab it and it's like, oh, like, no, just finish what you were doing. That can wait that minute or 30 seconds,
Yeah, and
right?
that's hard too, though, right? Because we're
Yeah,
conditioned that, oh,
yeah,
it's important, it's important. And so there's another beautiful,
yeah,
that's a great place to slip in a little moment of mindfulness.
yeah,
Like notice the urge.
yeah,
Like, oh, when the phone rings, my urge, my body wants to pick it up. And so as soon as you notice the urge, then you can relax the shoulders, take a
yeah,
breath, finish what you're doing, and then
yeah,
make the choice to
yeah,
answer it instead of, having the phone tell you what to do, right?
yeah,
And that's when choices begin to open up around our use of social media, for
yeah,
example, right?
yeah,
So that it's called surfing the urge, right? So
yeah,
to just surf that urge, be like, oh, I really want to pick it up. I'm, I don't have to. I
yeah.
can choose not to.
Yeah, right. And going a little further into that, you hear some people, it's like, oh, I'm dreading this conversation. This person's phoning me now. Okay, well, just let it ring for a sec. You can, just get in this mindset. Say, okay, I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna bounce off any negativity of
Yeah.
feeling. It again, it is practice.
Hmm.
It's not gonna happen overnight, but
No,
the more you practice it,
that's
I'll
right.
say the easier or more natural it
Hmm.
becomes. So
Hmm.
like, okay, take a moment to relax, take a
Yeah.
breath, and then, call them back. Or as you're talking with them, kind of be in tuned to how you're feeling at the same time.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Crazy world, as we say, right?
Yes.
I
Yes,
mean,
it
we
is.
we we can't run away from it,
No.
but it's how we react. It's how our thoughts are. It's where our mindset is
Hmm.
that is going to. Uh, There's a word I'm looking for and I'm lost for, but will kind of make the result happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that intention setting and giving
Yeah.
ourselves that space to respond instead of react, right? I mean,
Exactly.
that's a classic benefit of mindfulness. And
Yeah.
and once we insert that tiny little pause, options open up.
Yeah.
There's more than one way to respond,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
So,
yeah.
there's something I'm curious about, Erin, and it really ties in nice to, what our conversation's all about reducing your internal stress you're feeling right
Mm.
now. Let's say there's people out there, it's the holidays, and they're already internally getting stressed because they need to get together with family members or friends that
Mm.
really stress them out and feel
Mm.
negative, but they know they don't have a choice
Hmm.
because it's the holidays.
Hmm.
I've talked to a lot of people about how to help them be in that situation.
Okay. Yeah.
So what's a piece of advice or what are your thoughts that you can share or else even a tip
Yeah.
that you can share that someone out there we know who's listening to this
Yes.
conversation are going to be like, "Oh yeah, I need that tip, please."
So I would say give yourself compassion, right? Oftentimes we do not offer ourselves compassion for how hard these things are. And giving, because when we're interacting with those people, family members or friends, or the people who, stress us out, we're not going to get what we need from them, but we can offer ourselves a little moment of self-compassion. And that can really help steady us through the interaction. And so a quick tip is that it's a self-compassion break. It involves all three moments of mindful self-compassion. So mindfulness, common humanity, because when we are in those situations, we feel very much alone,
Yeah.
and self-kindness instead of self-judgment, right?
Self-kindness.
Or anger. So the first thing you would do is like say to yourself whatever you need to hear to acknowledge that this is really hard. So you might say to yourself, okay, this sucks, like acknowledging it, right? Instead of, pushing it away,
Yeah.
right? Pretending it's not happening, or be like, oh my God, here we go again. I'm going to leave this party so stressed. I hate that,
Yeah.
right? Just
Yeah.
saying, this is really hard. So acknowledging that is the first step. The second step is reminding yourself that you're not alone, right? So saying to yourself, okay, I'm not alone, my cousin hates him too, or, whatever it
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
right? Like, or other people at Christmas parties or holiday parties all over the country are going
Yeah.
through the same thing right now.
Yeah.
Reminding yourself you're not alone, because,
Yeah.
we feel alone when
Right.
these things happen,
Yeah.
isolated. And so remembering that we're not is the second step. And then if it's helpful, you can even apply some kind of supportive touch, like placing a gentle hand on your heart, or giving yourself a little squeeze, like a little hug, or even like holding your own hand, or like putting your hand on the back of your neck, like
Yeah.
something that makes you feel comforted and supported.
Nice.
And then the third step is offering yourself words of support.
Yeah.
And it may be as simple as saying to yourself, maybe like a cheerleading kind of thing, like, it's okay, we're going to get through this. 3 minutes of conversation,
Yeah.
and then you can say, excuse me, I need to use the ladies' room,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, right? Or you can say to yourself, you got this.
Mm.
Or you may offer yourself a wish, like we were talking about. May I have the patience to get through this?
Yeah.
May I be, so that's the self-compassion break. And you can even divide that up into its component parts. Sometimes just saying, oh, man, this is hard, is enough to give you a bit of relief. Or just, if you're noticing you're feeling stressed, like, give yourself a little hug.
Yeah.
Or, that body piece is really important. And this comes out of the self-compassion program. It comes out of the mammalian caregiving system, right? It helps us feel cared for. When we've got a little baby or a small animal, right? What do we do when it's upset? We're like, shh. So we offer it soothing words, right? So
Yeah.
that's the self-kindness.
Yeah.
We rock it. So the offering yourself the touch, the soothing touch, that's, and then also like a little bit of movement. So
Yeah.
sometimes, whether it's your hand up and down your arm, or doing that little swaying, and that releases oxytocin, which
Yeah.
is that caregiving hormone, which helps you feel better even in the midst of this really stressful interaction.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I love how you tied in, just do that little movement for a sec,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
kind of, okay, just like we all automatically do this, but just kind of like
right,
brush yourself.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
while you were mentioning that, I was even thinking that, you know, I think a lot of us have a favorite stone or
yes,
bracelet or necklace
yeah,
or earrings or even healing stones, right?
yep,
If we can wear that or put it in our pocket.
great
So when we're
idea, I
feeling that,
love that.
just quick touch it, brace it, or put your hand
Yeah,
in your pocket if you know you have it
oh,
in your
I
pocket.
love
So I
that.
just, as you're saying that, I was like, oh, that would, tie in really, and as you're
Absolutely,
touching, it's like, yeah, this is my favorite, and this is by, whether it be a person who gave it, and we're here supporting each other, and just that, that little, like you said, taking that moment to, okay, I'm going to kind of shift here for a sec without
yeah,
someone knowing, and what do I need to give myself right now? So, oh, love that, love that, love that, because that I find is such a helpful tip that you have offered, Erin, because that can be applied to any time of the year as well, I
absolutely,
find. Even, as people start to, I'll say, start coming together again, and going to meetings, even if you have a
yep.
meeting you attend, do those simple things
and
there.
and you and you can bookend it. You can
Yeah,
do like before the stressful
yeah,
interaction, you do something. After you
yeah,
do, that
yeah,
can help get that stress, complete that stress cycle, right? So
yeah,
that it's out of
yeah,
your body instead
yeah,
of getting held in there. Yeah.
exactly,
Oh, I
exactly.
love the
Love
idea
it.
of like the jewelry, or the stone. That's
Yeah.
brilliant. That's
Aw,
great.
thank you. Thank you. There's this conversation has been amazing. I know there's like, we could go, oh my gosh, so much further into everything. But as we're slowly coming to a close, there's, a quote that we all seem to, every one of us got kind of keeps in the back of mind, or we have it
Mm,
written somewhere, like mine are like life and dream and,
right.
love and all that stuff. What is, maybe three words that you love, or is there a quote that you love? And,
Yeah.
why does it speak to you?
Yeah, so I've got so many different ones, but one of the ones that is very helpful to me in this moment is it's John Kabat-Zinn, who, is sort of the founder of modern mindfulness. And he says, you can't stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf.
Lovely.
And it's one of my favorites because it just reminds me that the more I resist stuff, right? When you think about, I can't stop the waves, I can't resist this, but I can learn to ride with it.
Yeah.
And that's really helpful in this particular moment in my life. It's very helpful for having twin adolescent girls in the house.
I hear you, because my son, he just turned 20. My daughter's going to turn 17 in January, and yeah, I remember those years. And there's still stuff.
There's always stuff, right? And it applies to anything. It can apply to work. But yeah, that's why it's particularly meaningful to me right now. That and the fact that, I'm moving through some grief as well. My dad passed away last year. This will be our first Christmas without him.
Yeah.
And so again, you can't stop the waves, because anytime we stop ourselves from feeling stuff, it can turn back on us, And so it's like, okay, I can surf this. I don't have to try to stop it. And so I find that it's a really supportive quote for me right now.
Kind of at the same time, when we, hear where where it says, open yourself up to being flexible.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And allow yourself to take that journey, those ebbs, those flows, those hills, those
Yeah.
turns, and allow yourself to be flexible and explore what can be around the corner, and allow yourself to feel the emotions that you're feeling, rather than suppressing them. Because when
Right.
you start suppressing all these feelings, there's going to be a time where it
Oh yeah, they
explodes.
pop up all over the
Yeah.
place, right?
Yeah.
Like someone leaves a dirty dish rag in the bottom of the sink all balled up and you
Yeah.
lose it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Just for
Yeah.
example, not that
Yeah.
that's ever happened to me.
There's something where, and I'm actually, I'm gonna, with these few moments we have left, there's something that I've been doing for a while, and it helps for me to reduce my stress. If I see someone leave, a dish standing somewhere, or haven't cleaned up their mess, as moms, as women, a lot of people will clean up. It's like, no, I call that person, say, where does this dish go? Or, you need to clean up your mess here, because I didn't make it. So why do I
Right.
need to clean it up?
Yeah.
Right? It's not my
Yeah.
responsibility. So
Yeah.
for those of you listening, follow through on that too. Is the biggest self-care tip and mindset tip, because
Right.
we as women excel at cleaning up after everybody.
Everybody else, exactly. Or
Yeah.
saying, I'm just going to give you a gentle reminder. Can I give you a helpful reminder to
Yeah.
put your dish in the, it makes me feel better saying it that way. It makes me feel less like I'm
Yeah.
nagging,
Yeah.
even though
Yeah.
it's the same thing. I'm going to
Yeah.
give you a helpful reminder about your dirty dish in your
Yeah.
room. Yeah,
Exactly, right?
exactly.
Yeah. Or if that there's the dishwasher, be like, the dishwasher is available to take dishes. Something like that. Oh, so lovely, this conversation, Erin. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Tanya.
And if there's one more piece of advice you could share, what would it be?
When you have a moment of joy this holiday season, pause, notice where you feel it in your body, and really give yourself permission to soak it in.
Love it. Love it. Love it. That pause. Take yourself a moment to pause. So important, right?
Yeah,
So
we need to soak
important.
up the joy. That helps with our stress relief
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, yeah. And as Erin mentioned, take a moment to pause. So those of you, as you're finishing up listening to another podcast today, Mindful Conversations, take a moment to pause afterwards, to absorb the messages that Erin and myself have shared, and to help you, if you're feeling stressed, to take a few of those tips, and just try them out, and realize you can be flexible. If this tip didn't work, then try this, because we're not cookie cutters. What might work for one person might not necessarily work for you. So allow yourself to be flexible. Just, stop the frustration. Why didn't it work for me? And realize you're an individual, and you deserve to make yourself a priority, and realize how you're feeling. And if you're in that situation of the holiday, whether it's in a room full of family members, it's like, oh, I don't want to be here. Take a moment to reflect and say, allow myself, to have patience. Allow myself to be in the moment. I will allow myself to feel how I do. I will allow myself to step out of the room when I need to.
Right. Yeah.
So everyone, thank you again for listening. Remember to hit the subscribe to hear another beautiful conversation that'll be coming. Happy holidays to all of you. Erin, thank you so much for this conversation. It was beautiful. And I'm going to end it with one final question. Erin, if this
Mhm.
was the last day of your life, what is one thing that you would be grateful for without including your family, though?
Such a great question. You know, today I'm going to answer it. I'm grateful for my mindfulness practice.
Uh,
I really am. Yeah.
Nice, nice, because
Yeah.
that really incorporates so many different fundamental aspects in our own life,
Yeah.
as well of everything that's going around
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
as well as the things we do.
Mhm.
So great point.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful day.
You
Enjoy the
too.
rest, and until next time, remember, when you go to bed tonight, think about the thing that you are grateful for. What was the best thing that happened today? And when you wake up in the morning, think about, put out there what you are grateful for. This is Tanya Otterstein-Liehs saying thank you very much. Love who you are and find joy in even the little things in life. Take care.